Hi there, and welcome to another impromptu stream. Today I'm working on Slavonic Fantasy by Höhne. And if you don't know this piece, it's a great cornet solo, really. And my favorite recording, in some ways of all time. It's hard to have just one favorite, of course, but one of my favorite recordings of all time is the Håkan Hardenberger At the Beach album, and this is on it, if I'm not mistaken. It's either on this or Trumpet Virtuoso, but both filled with great pieces. But At the Beach is the album because it's really well recorded. It's just beautiful sound. It's amazing technique. Anyway, but this piece is famous among trumpet players because it's challenging, but it's something that you can work on pretty early in your time. It doesn't go up super duper high, and it doesn't go down super duper low most of the time. It stays right in the middle, and yet it takes a lot of technique, and it helps you work on a whole lot of things. So I'm doing it now because I have a former student who's been working on it a little bit and putting up some videos, so good for you. And I also have, I'm streaming myself in the background. We don't want to do that. Okay, let me pull up chat just in case. And then I have a current student also working on it, and that's why I need to play it. But I thought I would put it on here so that both of them can see. So the beginning is this large opening cadenza-like section, right? And there are some piano parts in between things, but you just basically play it together. You sort of, fill it out. And so let's play some of it. Stream out of the way of my, yeah, there we go. So there's your opening, and it's what it is. It's what it's. Just it's think about where you're going to breathe, right? If you're working on this, I think that's the key here. I didn't play it perfectly necessarily, and I changed some of the articulations not because I think I know better, but because I can't hear it any other way. That's what Håkan does on some of on the recording, perhaps, or maybe it's a different recording that I know. And it's okay to do that a little bit here, I think. You don't want to do too much, just completely rewriting things. But in this context, I think it's okay to maybe break a slur here or there, just to make sure you really get something exactly the way you want it. So, yeah, try not to breathe too much. It's a cadenza, but that doesn't mean it's out of time all over the place, right? So you can do a lot. I'm not quite playing it as fast as I want here, but I'll show you a couple of spots. you can do that whole little section there all in one breath, and it ties together really nicely. Just because there's a fermata doesn't mean you breathe after it. In fact, a lot of times people do that in other pieces where it's okay to leave space, but they don't need a breath, and so you kind of get locked up. But anyway, that's not the hard part at all. The part that I just played, it's fine. I mean, it takes some fingering technique, right? But the next part actually is the hardest part for me because it's so soft. So this is me kind of working on it today. I've maybe spent about 10 minutes just doing like soft entrances, and I'm still gonna mess it up, I'm sure, but we'll see. Whew, okay. So, not my best on everything, but really trying to keep that contained. Still my biggest, nicest trumpet sound, but just not loud, is I think the most challenging. But if you can get it, it's very efficient, and you have to hold pretty hard, but the trumpet works pretty well, and so then you don't fear this section. And then there's a lot of, in this version that I have here, there's a lot of Italian words, and there's another version that has them all in, they might be in English or German. I don't know. I have another version of this that I can't find right now. And, well, anyway, you should always translate all your words. Essentially, they're telling you when to speed up and slow down. That's the, the long and short of it. But look them all up. And when I tried to look up the Italian words, they weren't in the Christine Ammer dictionary, so I had to look up the real Italian and then just try to make an interpretation. But they're not very difficult, so. All right, let's keep going. This is the sort of moderato on the next page. We don't want to go too slow. That was the slowest we're going to go, right? Because this piece just takes forever otherwise, but. So the other part about this piece that's so hard is that it never ever has rest. Um, I mean, in the middle of while you're playing, right? Then you get these big long rests, but you have to have really solid endurance for quite a long time to be able to play it. And this is my third hour of playing today, so I probably don't have it. You notice I missed a bunch of the high notes, but the key is to still keep playing musically, right? Make sure you play through the line no matter what you do, and you'll be surprised. You're like, oh, I still got the last B flat, you know, or high B flat and low B flat. Because you just have to trust your trumpet principles, right? If you're not releasing air, then everything's going to go badly. But if you are, then a lot of stuff accidentally goes well because you've practiced, right? I can play some of that again though. Let's do a little bit better at that. Now, how would I practice it? First I rest, right? I'm resting right now, but then I don't need to do all of it at once. If I'm tired now, but maybe I'm going to play this in a recital where I'm not going to have played for 3 hours. Well, then I just need to know that I know exactly what I want each part to sound like, right? And that I can do it. So we'll work on it left to right just so if in case you're following along or listening. But let's do it in little chunks. So yeah, I think this is an important part that a lot of people don't do, which is this big diminuendo from forte, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 right? That's to piano. And a lot of people get the shape of it right, but they don't go far enough, and then they play loud again, da 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 da. But that's not really what it says. It doesn't say to change dynamic again. And I think it sounds really cool that you're sort of distant for the follow-up, for the consequent part of the phrase, right? Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. Right? Dum, ba-dum, bum. Right? And then and you don't want to separate those the high B flat from the low B flat too much in terms of like you're not going to reset and hit it. There's just not time. So you have to practice on one embouchure. Now you can see my jaw drop a little bit. My embouchure, do a little bit of a pivot that I'm not necessarily trying to do, but it's just I know it's necessary. But as long as they both come out on the same embouchure, you're good to go. So anyway, that's plenty of that. Yeah, I thought you're one of the ones I was talking about at the beginning. So I saw your, this is Panda Surprise saying, I'm playing this in 2 weeks. And I saw your, well, unless I'm forgetting whose username that is. But I saw your Instagram a couple of weeks ago about the timing of the beginning. And I thought, man, I should get that back out. And then one of my students started playing it. So I said, well, now I really need to get it out. So it's out now. Okay, let's look at the next part. This is the best part, I think. This is the part that like sells me. The beginning is amazing, right? With Håkon, or anybody playing it. I mean, if they play it well at all. There's a couple of recordings. I think there's a Vizzuti recording of this. There's definitely, oh man, I have like 4 on this computer over here, but I can't remember anybody else. Anyway, but this is the part that like where I start to get excited about learning it. a finger workout for sure. And some people play this on C trumpet, and there's even a published C trumpet part to this. And so, you know, it's doable. Oops, I don't have a C trumpet here. Well, I sort of do. Do I? Yeah, okay, well, while I do this and rest a little bit, what do we got on the chat here? I like putting weight on the later half of those measures because it says that it's supposed to be in the style of mazurka, which puts emphasis on beats 2 and 3. Yeah, that's true. Where is it? Where is that spot? Oh, this tempo, but yeah. Dum ba dum bum bum bum. It's two. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think in a mazurka, 2 is the big beat, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Is that the way it goes? Yeah, I agree with you. In the generic parts, the but it's really hard to do that bum ba-dum bum bum bum, right? It's really hard to get that mazurka to work with the diminuendo. So I would say, you know, always do what you can and what you want to hear, but don't do what you can't. This is the biggest mistake I've made over and over again. Is I hear things in my vision of how I want to play a piece that I'm really not physically capable of doing, and so I go for them thinking that like the music will save me, but really I'm just wasting face and not going to get through the piece. And I have just a huge number of recordings to prove it of me playing live and folding at the ends of pieces. So, and sounding great up until then, right? But anyway, that's my 2 cents. And I'm not getting this C trumpet ready to go, so I'm just going to convert my good old French Besson here into C trumpet. If I can find the right, well, this one has something in it, so that means that this one, well, that does too. Now I don't know. This is the problem with having, I put them in bags so they wouldn't bang up the horn, and then, you know, now I don't know where anything is. Aha, C trumpet. Okay. So just all this just to do this on the C trumpet. Push this into the right spot, hopefully. It's challenging, but in some ways it's more idiomatic, actually, to do it that way. I wonder what B trumpet would be like. I guess it would put it... It's not any better. There's no really good way to do it because it's... you're always going to have the same problems, right? If it's in like... You know, let's pretend like it's in F major or B flat major or whatever, right? And then it temporarily tonicizes, like there's like a G sound, right? What is that, C minor or something, right? And so you're always going to go in and out of different keys, and so there's no one like solution trumpet-wise, unless you could change mid-stroke, like if you had a quick change rotor or something like that. CD trumpet might work out actually pretty well for this if you could work out the fingerings. But anyway, okay, enough dawdling. Put the Besson back down now in C. And okay, so let's keep going. That section, if you have trouble with stuff like that, it's chunk city, right? It's just all about, can I get my coordination to do this in a smaller section at a time up to tempo, right? So like this. And it's really hard to do that. But then when you gradually put it all together, it starts to hang together pretty well. And your fingers don't, you sort of just have to trust them. You can't possibly look at this and read it in live, right? That's why I messed up immediately, because I was trying to read it again. I haven't looked at this page. I haven't looked at it all for several years. Well, I guess that's not true either. About a year, because I had a student doing this last year, but just a little bit then. So anyway, but yeah, you just slow it down, and then you got to do the whole section slow so that you can get the coordination of when to slur and tongue and sort of the overarching line, and just so you know it's where it needs to be. My problem is I want to keep double tonguing when it's slurred, and that I don't want to do. I just sort of I sort of am throwing it away because I haven't done that slow practice. But anyway, hey Dad, let's keep keeping on here. Some people slow down here, and that can work. They just like start off slow again, but it's not written in any way, so. So here's a spot where I changed the notes because that's not what I hear on the recordings. And I don't know why. I think it's a typo. I think it was copied wrong from the next, like from three bars later. I think that's what happened here. But yeah, so on the repeats, let's just, I don't know what this is. So we will block them forever. Okay, so yeah, I didn't do very much that time, and that's because it says, so this time it says, the first time play forte, the second time play pianissimo. So I was ready to go pianissimo, but because it's all fast moving, I was already playing like mezzo piano, basically. So you really want to go for that forte the first time. Let's go back and get that. And then, yeah, on this first section or the repeat that I don't do too much because I'm already like in the weeds a little bit, and I'm not sure what I would change the style to the second time that wouldn't violate the articulations that are already written, right? I guess I could more legato tongue it one of the times, or I could really like sort of hammer it, but I'm not sure. I would be just doing that for effect, right? And there's nothing wrong with playing something twice the same. A lot of people will say, well, you should never do that, right? You should always do something different the second time. Well, that's not really true. It's more interesting to do something different the second time, but that's not always the point, right? Now, if it's just a lick, if you have... just a fanfare lick, right? Well, then it might be more interesting to play it, just because it's, now you've made sort of an echo sound, soften the articulation. I changed the rhythm a little bit, and I didn't mean to, but, yeah, that has more intrigue to it, right? And there's not much to it, so we got to add something. But if I'm just happy to go, and get all the articulations and fingerings all lined up. And if I can do that twice, I would say that's also impressive in a new way, right? So, and as long as you're always musical, right? It's not wrong to hear the same thing twice. In fact, it's good for an audience if they're listening. It helps them learn the piece too, right? And repeats, just because it's a repeat sign, you know, that's an economy thing too. Back when we used to write everything out by hand, we saved ink and time by not, you know, just writing it out again, right? That's a lot of note heads and a lot of black ink that you're going to add to the page that you maybe didn't want to. So anyway, but I do change the style on this one. So let's go back to the 150 there. Right? And as a matter of fact, it says you can do that. There's different there's dia daka dia daka dia daka dia, and there's right? There's two different articulations, and one you're supposed to do one time, and one you're supposed to do the other. And I believe that that is the right pairing, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so now continuing on, we've already played a bunch of this. Let's see where we want to go. I didn't get this. I'll just keep going from where that ends up. Let's see. So this is a spot where I can't look at it. I wrote in C sharp, D, F, and I've written those note heads, but they're very faint, and the light is kind of shining right on them, so I can't quite see. But yeah, like I said, those are just wrong notes. It should not be. It's wrong notes. Right notes. I'll do it one more time. Okay, so I have to memorize it, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. That's pretty good. I'm also adding some articulation to this because it makes that D F natural easier to play, and it's like the rest of the piece. It doesn't say to do that, but I'm quite frankly incapable of the perfect slur there at this state in the game. If it was the beginning of the piece, yeah, I'd have enough chops to kind of like make sure that it's accurate. Here, I'm just not. I'm not going to be that facile. I didn't quite get my hook on vibrato going there, but can work on that in a second. Panda Surprise says, one exercise that helped me a lot with that particular lick is starting probably down two partials and working the same rhythm with the crispness that I want and going up each partial every time until I get the result that I want. Yeah, that's pretty smart. I mean, it can be tricky to do that sometimes mentally. But if your brain can handle it, then excellent. Yeah. With that which particular lick, I guess, is what I would ask, because there's a lot of them in this one. But anyway, yeah. I mean, that's the piece, and most of it played. And what have I been going about? Half an hour? Yeah, almost exactly. So I don't want to go on and on and on, but But yeah, you can do a lot of things with this. I like the Håkon kind of he has this shimmery, very fast vibrato. Let's see if I can do some of it in the adagio and then the last note. Or something like that. Anyway, it's all silly, but it's fun. The fun part about these pieces is, first of all, they're fun to learn. There's a lot of notes. Also, if you have trumpet heroes, it doesn't have to be the singular, right? If you have trumpet heroes that have played this piece, you have recordings that you just love and you wish you could play like that, try to do that, right? Why not? Why not try to just completely emulate? You're not accidentally gonna become Alan Vizzuti or somebody, right? You're not in danger of identity theft or copyright infringement in that way, because we're all built a little differently, and we're not going to sound exactly the same. So what's the harm in trying to sound exactly the same? A lot of people will say, "Well, that's not your own identity." Well, yeah, but we do the same thing in jazz. We try to transcribe the licks that we like, and our identity is reflected in the choices that we make of what we want to emulate, right? And so, in other words, it doesn't have to be sort of like creativity in a vacuum. You can emulate the things that you like about other people, and then you can put your own spin on it as well, within the confines, in this case, of what's written on the page most of the time, right? Like I said, I'm changing some articulations a little bit, and I used to be real conservative on this, and I still am very conservative about, like, if it's on the page or the composer could have written it but didn't, you should go with what's written. That I still agree with that, but if it's the difference between I can and I cannot play this whole piece because of this one lick that I have to change, then I think it's okay. I think that for now, right? And then I need to get better at the trumpet over a long period of time, and eventually undo that so that I'm playing what's on the page. But it's also, not every composition or every edition. Well, I mean, this one has wrong notes in it, right? So how do I know which things are exactly right and what's, I mean, I've done a comparison of editions on this particular piece, so I do know what's right and what's wrong. And unfortunately, I still just can't do some of the stuff that I know was actually written down. But anyway, yeah, this is one. The other one, the other Håkon one, let me see if I have it down here somewhere. Well, there's this one, My Love is Like a Red, Red Rose. This is another one with no rest in it. I'll play some of these other ones. I'm not going to play the whole things, but there's what I was looking for. I believe this is the Håkon drawer. No, this is Ernest Williams. Now this is just kind of stuff I need to practice. Bornstedt and Gianni. Let's see. Oh, there's the Biche Scarlatti. That's another one that's terrible. Great piece, really hard. Let's see if I can find some more. What I'm really looking for is the Pluie de Toi. I haven't played it in a long time, but that's the one that got me started on all this. It took me forever to find all of the pieces from all these from at the beach, but I did it. I can't find Pluie de Toi. It may not be here. It may be at school. I don't know. Nobody is playing it, and I only have a band arrangement of it, but that's too bad. I wish I would try to remember it, but I'll do a bad job. Anyway, well, these two will be enough. All right, so My Love is Like a Red, Red Rose. This is William Vida, I think it's, or Weida, W-E-I-D-E, or Vida, actually. That's more, the German pronunciation pronounces the second E-I, the second letter is how you say it. So W-E-I would be Vi, and W-I-E would be V. So this is Vida, I suppose. But really nice little melodies. I'll play a little bit. that's a little sort of intro. And then you immediately go into a cadenza, which I'll do my best. So those are really nasty rhythms there, where you really almost can't like figure them out. You've got, I'll turn this just a little bit down. You got. Right, and the tricky part is that that first one it doesn't say that it's a sextuple division, but you have to just do it because there's too many beats in the measure otherwise. So it's easy to start. I started too slow the first time, but you kind of just make up the difference, and then you figure it out eventually. So you can tell another one with no rest in it. We haven't even hit the theme. The theme is actually, the hardest part is the first theme. So I guess I should play. Oh, my dad says Mahler did, Beethoven did, Bernstein did. Did what? I guess conduct and do whatever they want, maybe, with the music. Interpret, in other words, but I'm not sure. Tell me. Okay, so here's the theme. I'm not going to play the whole thing because this one really wastes me. So that's the main theme. And this is actually from, I think it's behind here. Yes. This is actually from the Caledonian Companion, Pocket Companion, which has in it Low Down in the Broom, which was it was a tune that was set with a poem by Robert Burns that says, "Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like a melody that's sweetly played in tune." And you can hear that over that melody if you chose to sing it. I'm not going to sing it for you right now. But here's a picture. Oops, let me get that in frame. Here's you can look up the Caledonian Companion, and this is in it. It is number 6. And then there's another one down there, Old Sir Simon the King. But anyway, that's where that melody comes from. And so always good to do. That one took me a while to figure out too. But anyway, it's just a theme and variations. I'll do my best to give you a taste of each one. Now we're just, modeled others. Yeah, absolutely. So my dad is saying that Mahler, Beethoven, Bernstein all modeled after other people that they admired. Yeah, I forgot that's what I was saying. That's how long my memory is these days. All right, here we go. This is the first variation. You get the idea, right? All right, let's try variation 2. These are going to get bad, man. It just gets really mean. And then there's another little mini cadenza. You finish that one off. Then there's a minor variation that's really just another. It's so mean because you're in the middle of all this. You're playing, and you can almost, if it's just a cornet solo and you sort of tongue fast and keep it light, then you can kind of get through a piece like this, right? But he throws in this minor sostenuto andante variation, and I'll just play a little bit of it. It's just so mean because you're just trying to get by, and then you play this real long cadenza, which I'm not sure I still remember even. Yeah, I mean I could play some of it, but the fun part is the finale, the tempo di polacca, and it's fast and it's a lot of triple tonguing. So we'll get there though. So that's the cadenza. You have to play that last, the anti-penultimate note with the piano. So you have to give that piano. Really, you know, it's the last thing you're trying to think of when you're trying to play all these notes. But anyway, you get a nice little rest here. And as a matter of fact, you get a nice little rest at the end of every variation in this one. It's a true theme and variations with a tutti in between. Sometimes they're longer than others, though. The one between variations 1 and 2 is only 7 bars, 8 bars really, and then the one between that and the andante is 16 bars, which is great. And then this one is only 9, but it has a fermata, so you at least can like hold on and then make sure you look at your pianist like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to go. You know, get my lips screwed on straight. But I have to plan this. I haven't played this in a while. Okay, yeah, that's about as fast as I want to go. Oh, the fingerings are just mean in this. Okay, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I haven't done it in a long time, and I'm not going to make it through the whole thing, but... Now, very politely, we get a little 8-bar rest here, which I'll try to sort of think through while I'm talking. But some of those, there's some nasty licks in there, but mostly it's just keep your fingers moving in the key of C, right? So it's not really as bad as it may seem at first glance. And then triple tonguing, and I messed up. I got off by a note, and then I was just looking at the wrong thing. But all right, let's try to finish it out. And at least they both end on low notes, right? So you don't have to try to play a high F at the end or something. That's at least nice. So that's this, My Love is Like a Red, Red Rose. And that one is actually imminently findable, right? You can just get it still available from Right and Round publishers. I got it from Just Music for $7. Nobody even wants this. It's $7. Okay, and then finally Scarlatti Variations, which admittedly might not go. All right, let me see if I can think of the part of the Pluie de Trois that really got me. Let's see. I can't remember it. Well, let me try it. I'll try a couple of things. Let's see if I can reverse engineer it. Yeah, that's mostly it. And I listened to it a million times, and then I didn't realize for the longest time that Håkon is not tonguing the second one at all. It's all slurred. But it was so clear that I just remembered it wrong. And so when I started learning that one, I tongued the whole thing, both the loud one and the soft one. And I'm going way faster than he does on the record because it seems so fast, right? And so, and that's a good way of, like, I'm emulating, but I'm also letting my imagination run wild a little bit. And that can be a really good thing, as long as it's within, again, the confines. But so that's not the Biche Scarlatti Variations. I just thought that's what inspired me to start all of this. So okay, here we go. Scarlatti Variations. So you can tell I'm starting to get tired now, but that's the theme, right? And these ones I'll really just rush through because you can just go listen to Vizzuti and Håkon and really good Ole Edvard Antonsen, one of this. But I'll introduce you a little bit to them and see how much I can remember from last time I worked on these. So Variation 1, a lot of the recordings go really fast on Variation 1. this is harder, this movement in particular is harder on the piano than it is on the trumpet, if you can believe that. So I always want to go, but the pianists don't want to do that. So they want to go a lot slower. So somewhere in between is fine. Let's try it out. You get the idea. The next one is one of my favorites, and this is another one where the pianists don't want to go too fast because they have to do everything you do, and they have to go except in between you, so they have to catch you and do it. So you don't want to go too fast. And as impressive as it may be when you can go really fast, it's also just not really safe, and you don't really need to go fast. It's not like it's beating up your lip too bad to go a little slower. So. So there you go, that's a second variation. That's all of it. And that's a much better. I used to try to go really blindingly fast on this, and that's fast enough, right? I don't need to go any faster than that. So let's keep going. Variation 2, I'm not going to play very much of this at all because this is, again, the long note one is the killer. Soft, long, lyrical, up to high notes, right? I'll play the opening and then I'll skip towards the end. Woo, so that's plenty of that. And then there's a final fourth variation, and I won't leave you hanging. I'm going to play some of it, but I'm just letting you know I haven't looked at it, and the page looks like this for me. where if you can see, I don't know if you can see that on the screen there, but there's a lot of markings on it because I screw up the fingerings a lot and the intervals. And so I've marked it out so that I can see that coming, but that just shows you that I had to practice it so much that I got frustrated and had to mark things. And that means that it's going to go, you know. It's also the most physically demanding one because you got to really be light, but you also have to be able to do octaves and things, and you know, coordinate with the fingerings as well. So again, you don't want to go too fast, but this one you don't want to go too slow either, just because it doesn't get long, but the piece is long, right? So, all right, let's give it a shot, and then we'll be done for the day because now I'm up to almost an hour. That was a tight high C, and I couldn't for the life of me flutter tongue because I was too tired to hold it together. So I was either going to lose the note or flutter and lose the note, or just keep it. So that's what I did. Anyway, like I said, not my best on the last notes here, but I like playing through these pieces every once in a while just to remind my fingers and my ears, and also to work on my technique. Right, my trumpet playing is holding up okay. Despite having some fingering challenges and some just, you know, other physical challenges, and so that's a good thing because now I'm into about 4 hours of playing after this stream, and that's enough for today. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you are excited about one of these pieces, and you'll go pick it up. The Biche is by far the most expensive one of them to buy. But it's still not that bad, I don't think. It might be 25, 30 bucks. And Slavonic Fantasy and My Love is Like a Red, Red Rose are relatively cheap. So if I can find Plus de Toi, I'm sure it's around here somewhere, I will play that for you next time. Until then, take it easy.